All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Unit Eagle Eye coming to you again with a brand new video. This time it's something a little bit different, something not really Arsenal related. I'm about to talk about Nigeria. I'm about to talk about them because England play Nigeria tomorrow, late afternoon at 5:15. And you guys are about to realize why I call my channel Eagle Eye. Joining me today is my good friend, my Nigerian brother, Ola. Say hello to the people, Ola.
Yeah, what's happening, my people? Yeah, it's good to be back on your platform again, and this time talking about our motherland, the country we love so much. And
if
yeah,
one part of our heart is Arsenal,
yeah,
the other part, the Super Eagles, baby.
Super Eagles, man. You know how we do.
So what today's really going to be about is I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit. We're almost kind of giving you the Nigeria preview for not just for tomorrow, but what you guys can expect, because everyone at some point is going to watch a World Cup game. I'm very much keeping a close eye on Nigeria. I'm going to be following them very tightly because they're my team. I'm also going to do a little something about England as well. We'll talk about England because let's face it, most of you guys will be England supporters. Most of you guys will know about the England players.
I'll be following them as well. We live here, you know. It's only right.
Yeah, man. Listen, people get twisted. Nigerians in this country, we want to see England do well, not at the expense of Nigeria.
Tell them, remind them.
That's what I'm saying. So we'll keep an eye on them too. Ola, let's talk to them about Nigeria and the history of Nigeria. Why don't you get cracking and then I'll kind of jump in.
Yeah. I mean, the Super Eagles, they're one of the big. I'd say probably the second biggest country, well, in Africa.
Yeah.
Aside of South Africa, well, definitely the biggest in West Africa. So in land size and population, you know, they still call them the giants of West Africa. So, you know, they when it comes to African Cup of Nations, they're always one of the nations to stand and be reckoned with. You know, is one of the countries that basically always last out there. And one of the things that's always got my goat about, you know, the Nigerian FA is the government being involved. Maybe too involved. Some people would say with our football, and that's why I think that was a couple years ago or 4 years ago we were banned from international games because of the government involvement in, you know, in decisions in certain aspect of the game. And I think FIFA did rule that if the government didn't stay out of it, you know, the Nigerian men's and women's team were going to be banned from the games, which ultimately, you know, that was what happened in the end. But coming back to,
we couldn't defend one of our African Cup of Nation titles.
Yes, that's right. You know, after that came to African Cup of Nations. I think that's the one. Yeah, we won that very, very recently. Just after Ivory Coast. I think it was Ivory Coast that we faced in the final. Did they face? Yeah, we faced Ivory Coast in the final, and yeah, it was a cracking game. So, you know, we always one of those teams to be reckoned with. I remembered the Olympic game in '96, Atlanta '96, I believe, and we played Brazil. It was nearly a game like the Liverpool game. I think Nigeria was 4-0 down in that game.
Yeah.
Or something like that, 4-0 down. It was like exactly like Liverpool being 4-0 down in that Champions League final, and they came back from 4-0 down and beat Brazil to win the Olympic Cup. So that was a very, very big highlight in Nigerian footballing history. So, you know, when it comes,
champions. We are.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. The whole nation was going crazy.
Oh man.
So it was one of those days I'd never forget. And when it comes to international stage, we haven't quite done well on the world stage. We always get past the group stages, dance around the the last 16, last eight sort of thing, and some one way or the other we end up getting knocked out by the stronger nations. So it was quite good the last time when Ghana actually lasted that long in the World Cup, and Suarez cheated Ghana out of the World Cup,
Yeah. Bro,
which was a shame.
every African was so pissed.
We were pissed off. I mean, Suarez wasn't. He was happy as Larry, that fucker. So, but that's basically, I think at that point there, Suarez really did announce himself to me in the fact that he would do anything by any means necessary to win the gold. Ultimately, they got knocked out as well. So, coming back to Nigeria, I think a lot of our listeners they're quite familiar with some of the guys that's going to be featuring with for the Super Eagles. You see them in the Premiership week in, week out. So maybe some of the other guys that doesn't play the flashy positions you don't see, and they play in other parts of Europe, mainly Russia as well. There's loads of them out there. But yeah. So on the whole, you can expect a game from Super Eagles against England tomorrow. I mean, it's a friendly, but they're still gonna come with it. They're gonna bring it because they know what to expect. They play in this climate. They know how the English players play. They know, how to approach it, and ultimately they know what to expect. So it should be a good game. But I'll definitely be rooting for Nigeria on that one. You already know how the game's set.
And this is the thing. So this is a World Cup warm-up game. What a lot of people won't know is that the Nigerian Federation was the ones that actually challenged England for this game. Right. And England accepted. It was. I'll tell you what. This is the thing, and I don't know if Ola agrees with this, but when it comes to Nigeria, they'll give it their all. For them, this is almost like a World Cup final, even though it's a warm-up game, because for a few different reasons. A, because it's England and they just want to beat England. But B, they also recognize that a lot of these players do want moves to England. And they feel like because there'll be a lot of eyes on this game, if for no other reason, just to see how prepared England are going into the World Cup tournament. That for the Nigerian football team, this will be a big occasion, a big game, and a big chance to prove himself. As Ola has actually said, there's a lot of Premier League representation. So we're going to come back to Mr. Iwobi in a second. But there's Kelechi Iheanacho of Leicester City. We've got Victor Moses of Chelsea. We've got Wilfred Ndidi. And we've got
Leicester.
Yeah, from Leicester. We've got Ola and I can't pronounce that name.
I know. Ola Aina.
Aina, yeah. Who does he play for though?
I think he plays in the Belgian league. If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure he plays in the Belgian.
I think he plays in the okay. And then we've got Leon Bagon from Brighton, who's a defender. And then obviously there's some more familiar names. So you've got Musa, you've got Agalu, and then you've got our captain, John Obi Mikel, who is a player. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you, never liked Mikel. I never liked him. I'm never in my, not even just because of the Chelsea thing. I've just, for some reason, he's a player that frustrates me, especially when he plays for Nigeria. So
Mikel is one of those players that gets on your nerves, and you just think, why are you doing everything in slow motion? But for some reason, he's aged pretty well. into the game, and he's an old boy, but you know he's still going to go to this World Cup and obviously lead the country to, you know, to the games and that. And I feel maybe after this World Cup, maybe it'll be time for someone like Ndidi and that to step up and take the mantle, because we've got a lot of younger guys coming through now, and you know, all these guys they play right at the top of the game. I mean, indeed, he was only playing Champions League football with Leicester. What was it, last season before? So you know, it's something that, you know, you expect them going into the World Cup not to. They don't have to get how do you call it, scared of the occasion, if you like, and you know, rise to it. So you know, when we talk about Mikel is somebody you know, he's won multiple titles with Chelsea. You know, he knows how to win. He's won African Cup of Nations with the Super Eagles as well. Yeah. So you know, he's somebody that definitely knows his way around the pitch. When it comes to mobility, I don't think mobility is definitely he's going to be on his side, but he's going to have runners around him. And you know, this is a team that earlier on in the qualifiers, which is one of my proudest moments going into this tournament, is when we beat Argentina. And you know, nobody saw that coming. You know, nobody gave us a chance. A bit like Arsenal going to play Chelsea in the FA Cup final. Nobody gave us a chance, and one way or the other, they pulled it off. So you know, for some reason, I don't know what was happening there. When we looked at the group, the group that we got drawn in, we're back in there with Argentina again. So we'll see whether it was a fluke or we can hold our own.
My mum has this theory already. It's big teams. It's the fact that we seem to turn up just when we need to. We literally have the reverse issue that for Nigeria that Arsenal have.
Yeah.
It's the big game. Nigeria have no problem being motivated. It's the little teams, and that's what worries me. Let's talk a little bit about our group. So you mentioned Argentina. We've got Iceland. We've got
Croatia as well.
Croatia, obviously us, and then Argentina. Where do you see us finishing in that group? Because we are technically the fourth seed in that group. You know, there's no getting away from it. We're ranked number 48 in the world. I think that's horrendously low for our ability. But I expect our ranking to go up after this World Cup. What do you see in terms of our chances in the group? Because a lot of my friends, and I know a lot of them are trolling me, they believe we'll finish bottom. I'm
not going to lie. It's a bit of a group of death, isn't it? it's got that group of death feeling to it. I was looking at it yesterday as well, and I thought to myself, I was saying to my son, I said, look at all these teams in this group. I mean, in Iceland, you can't underestimate them because they beat England the last time that, you know, they met up in Euros and that. So you can't really underestimate their heart, you know, and what they're capable of doing. Croatia, they're technically gifted nation with bags of ability. They got you know, football maestros, you know, within their ranks, and Argentina, you know, you don't need to say anything about that. The name just sells itself. Yeah. So for every single game that we are going to have to play with them, I mean, every point is going to matter. Every single foul, every decision to get out of this group. For the type of football that we want to play, and you know, we're attacking team. We're not one of those teams out there that go around packing the bus or not. We don't do that.
And much to our detriment sometimes. That's where
of course. We have
that thing in common with Arsenal, because we don't know how to park the bus. The goalkeeper would play up front if he could. That is what.
If he could, exactly that. And it's something that, you know, we are going to need every bit of luck, every bit of great decision going our way, and we have to bring our A game on top of it. So to me, I still feel we have to work twice as hard to be half as good for against a team like Argentina and Croatia. Iceland for the heart, we have to march them for heart, and we'll see where we end up. But I fancy us getting through it. You know, I fancy us going through. As long as we play our game and we don't make silly mistakes. And on top of that, the one thing that gets me around this time of the year, and it's been a big bugbear of mine since we've been getting involved in World Cup and stuff, is the fact that we're in the window now, and a lot of our players like to sell themselves and go individual, try to play individual game and not much of a team game to impress whatever scouts around the world that might be watching them. So instead of trying to win as a team, some of them just go rogue on the manager sometimes, and it's not always good for the team. So I hope that side of that side of things doesn't come out of them this year, because a lot of these guys are settled in their clubs. So I'm hoping they all come with a plan to play as a team and win as a team, and obviously progress as the tournament goes on as a team.
I hear you. To me, like you say, we almost have to work doubly as hard to be half as good. I think that's very apt. I mean, there's no getting away from it. We're in a difficult group. Unlike you, I don't really see it as a group of death, but I see it as an interesting test of attitude, of mindset, in terms of we're going to see a few things. I mean, let's talk about our manager, who I am going to absolutely butcher his name. But his name is Gernot Roha. I don't know. He's German, people.
You've already butchered Balogun already, so
he's German, people. What do you think? I mean, have you been impressed with him since he's come in? He's reorganized the team, getting the best out of certain characters, a certain Alex Iwobi, who let's just be real. Let's just call it what it is. He don't turn up for Arsenal. He does turn up for Nigeria. What do you think?
The guy reminds me a little bit of Emery.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It's not one of the biggest name out there. I think I'm echoing a little bit. I don't know why that is. Hold on.
Yeah, good.
Right, hello. So the guy reminds me of Iwobi. I mean, it reminds me of Emery a lot. He's got the best out of the players that we've got at the moment. I think going forward, I think he's capable of getting to the quarterfinal, and I'll be happy with that if he's able to do that with the squad. So he's definitely done well. I don't know his background or where it's come from or what he's done in football as such, but I think he's definitely what we need based on the work that he's done with this current squad, and I've been impressed so far.
Yeah, I like the way he's organised people, and let's be real here, it's a big World Cup for Alex Iwobi. I mean, I would say probably about, if we're being conservative, 75% of the fan base have written him off. Even the people who would normally quite be patient with others have just written Iwobi off. I mean, for me, this is a really big opportunity for him to show the likes of Emery that, you know what, he can do it. He can do it. He just needs to be, we need to get the best out of him, and maybe Emery's the man to do that. Do you see him seizing his opportunity at the World Cup?
Look, he's always turned up when his international games. every time he's been involved in international games, this guy is turned up. He's shown ability. He's shown heart. He's even grabbed games by the scruff of the neck. A lot of the times he's even grabbed games by the scruff of the neck, and for me, he's just one of those guys that everybody, like you said, is written him off, and I can understand why. But for me, a lot of it was down to coaching. A lot of it was down to burnout. A lot of it was down to being selected for the wrong type of matches or even in the wrong positions under Wenger. So, because I see the guy in a different light when he plays for us. I see him in different environment when he plays for us. When I say us, I mean Super Eagles. I'm not talking about us. So there, when he plays for us, and he always brings it. He's a player that could have decided to, play for England or maybe another country in Europe if he really wanted to. Like Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham is one of them that's decided to stay here when it could be, I feel it could be doing something for Nigeria. So
yeah, great.
I think he needs a chance, and he needs the chance to get into everybody's good books again, going into next season. And I hope what I was saying earlier on in terms of individualism and players trying to impress for their club. I hope it doesn't affect Iwobi in this tournament. I hope he plays for the team, and if he does play for the team and does what he's done right all the way through to the tournament, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I think it's a big test of his temperament. I think what would help is that he was taken out of the limelight. I did notice that from Wenger. Played a lot less towards the back end of the season. Finally, for fuck's sake. And I think that hopefully will help him reset his mindset a little bit because, say what you want about him for Arsenal, we need him. He's one of our biggest players. He performs for us in the big stage. He's our main number 10. He'll make people like Iheanacho tick, who, thank God, I did notice he started picking up form towards the back end of last season as well. But Leicester, I noticed he was banging in a couple of goals. I was like, yes, come on, brother. Come on. Because we need we need everybody firing. From Iheanacho to what is my man? Watford man. Former Watford guy. Igalo. We need them all ticking. Moses, who I must admit, Moses tailed the fuck off for Chelsea. He did. He tailed off for Chelsea, and I'm hoping he rediscovers his form because we need him as well. And we need everybody ticking. I'm going to talk to everybody now about the three players that I believe will be perhaps the biggest threat to England tomorrow. And I wanted to know what your opinion is of them. So first of all, we're talking about William Trost-Akon, who has spent some time with Fulham and he spent some time with the scum down the road. He's now actually playing for a Netherlands team called FC Groningen. And he's a good little player. Well, I say little player. My man's 6'3", but a ball-winning defender, big man. Have you heard of him? Have you seen a bit of him play for the Super Eagles?
No, I haven't.
Sorry, man. I thought I was cutting you off. Yeah, no, very, very good player. Very, very good player. And he's going to be definitely one to watch for sure. And then I touched on the beginning of the show, but Leon Balgum for Brighton and Hove Albion. He's 29 years old, so he's getting on a little bit, but a very strong tackler. Tends to win. He tends to win about 39 successful tackles he's had, 32 interceptions. and he had 14 appearances last season. So a nice little player as well. And then we've talked a little bit about Ndidi, but also there's Ingeni Anazi from Trasport or Trabzonspor. I am butchering these names. Turkish team, basically.
Trabzonspor.
There you go. I can never say it. I can never say it. People be like, wow, Chig can't read. What's going on? So yeah, but yeah, he's another little good player. Someone that people believe will take over the John Obi Mikel role. So as you were saying earlier, Mikel is getting older now. And I think he must be in his mid-30s now.
Yeah,
so they'll be really looking on some of these youngsters to take over the banner. Talk a bit about England, so I can imagine our viewers are like, right, we talked about Nigeria a lot, let's talk about England. What do you think about the England squad? I mean, there's a lot of fuss being made that Jack Wilshere never made the squad, that you know, certain other people didn't make the squad. Like Joe Hart, for some reason, was bitching. And in my mind, I'm like, really, brother? Really? You thought you were going to make the squad? What do you think about the England squad? Just a little kind of like idea.
I'm not tripping about the England squad. I'm not worried about it at all. I think a lot of the players that's been chosen, they've gone on merit, haven't they?
Yeah.
So and that's been the difference with the Southgate regime, if you like. So I think I'm not sure how far they're going to go in the World Cup, you know, but they've got a lot of talented players there.
I mean, that's the thing. It's funny you should say that, because that's kind of how somebody asked me this question the other day. I was like, because until it takes a real manager that says, right, I'm only going to pick players who are on form, and then actually follow through with that shit. How Danny fucking Rose gets in there when he couldn't even get in the Tottenham team is
that's probably the only player that I got a gripe with out of everyone that got in, and it's nothing to do with him. It's nothing to do with him being play for Tottenham or anything. You know, so
it's unbelievable. And this is the thing, and you can understand people's annoyance when it comes to things like that. And why I just think Southgate is just the same as, to me, it's just in the same category as your Steve McLarens, as your Roy Hodgson's, and it will take them 2 years, because it always takes the FA 2 years to realise, oh shit, we made a mistake here. And for their sake, I hope Wenger's still available. Because I think Wenger, honestly, I've said this before and I'll say this again, that job is perfect for Arsene Wenger. You don't need to worry about no transfer budgets. Plenty of young players to work with. And all he can focus on is just watching football and watching who's on form and who's out of form. He knows the league inside out. Who the fuck is better qualified than Wenger? In all seriousness, we were all pissed with him as Arsenal manager because it was stale, it was old, he needed to move on. But now he's moved on. People can be honest with themselves and look at it objectively. Would he not be perfect for that England manager role? Maybe I'm alone in that, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I think it will. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason they're going crazy.
All right.
I think if you mute on your side,
it might not, because when you was doing something on your side, it went echo.
Oh, for real? Okay, let me see if I can.
I don't know what he was doing on your side. What he was doing on your side was working for it.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Has it fixed?
Oh, that's better.
Oh,
Yeah. I've been echoing like mad, and people in the chat room is going crazy, calling me the Echo Master.
Oh, really?
People like Echo Master. Man. I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah, I think it sounds all right now. So from what we were saying earlier on with Wenger, it'd be the perfect job for Wenger. I think, you know, the only problem with Wenger now is the fact that he likes the week in, week out, day to day handling of players and a club. You know, that's what Wenger loves to do. But I personally don't see Wenger sitting around every 3 months begging a club to see if a player can come and play for him. And you know, people like Tottenham, remember what they did with Kane and Dele Alli when he was preparing to play them, and they have to lie about injury and shit like that. They have to lie about injury. And when it came to Arsenal, them man, they were all right. Them man, they were ready to play. You know what I mean? So these are the things that international managers have to deal with on like every quarterly basis when they want to have a friendly. And you got to think, imagine you being a club manager, I'm an international manager, you've just gone and spent 70, 80 million on a player that I want to play in a friendly. So that's like you spending 80 mil on a Bentley or Rolls Royce, and I want to take it for banger racing. And you gotta hope you don't come back with a scratch on it. You know what I mean? So you know it doesn't. A lot of international managers. I mean, they have to wait around and beg around. I don't think that's Wenger's style at all. So I don't know how that type of job will suit him. I think only time will tell what he ends up getting. But for me, I think the England manager, I think they got the right man for the job to progress them, because England didn't get Gareth Southgate to try and win the World Cup. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's something to galvanize them together, to make a team out of them, get progression out of them, and see how well they do in the next few tournaments, because he's really young. He's got age on his side. The players he's got in the squad have got age on their side. So he's definitely a player that, you know, I think, I mean, it's definitely a manager that I think will have a lot of time with the English team, and hopefully, you know, they can do well in this tournament as well. Not really, you know, like we said, you know, we're not expecting it to happen at the expense of Nigeria. Obviously, we're in different groups, so we're definitely going to be looking out for their progress on both fronts. But if they have to come head to head, then yeah, I'm not looking for them to knock us out or at our expense. But other than that, you know, it's a good tournament. It's always something that I look forward to every 4 years. And I love the World Cup. I always end up choosing one other country aside of my home country as well, to follow. So and obviously the country we live in as well is always good to follow them. But other than that, yeah, it's something that we're expecting.
Okay. Sorry, I've got all sorts of technical issues going on here. Don't worry. Right. So, okay. So let's talk about the game tomorrow. Where do you feel the key problems are going to be for both teams?
Right. I think for both teams, I think they got goalkeeper issues. I think both teams have got goalkeeper issues. You know, if we're talking about Butland, because he made the team, he only just got relegated. Even though, you know, I rate him a lot. Nigeria got, you know, Daniel Akpeyi as a goalkeeper, and Francis Uzowu. So you know those two guys, they I mean, I remember when we had the best keeper I remember us having ever was Peter Rufai. I love Peter Rufai. He was a fantastic. I mean, I love that generation of Nigerian footballer. You know, I mean George Finidi, Daniel Amokachi, JJ Okocha, you know Taribo West. I mean,
who's your favorite Nigerian player ever, by the way?
oh God, oh my God.
It's got to be.
I will have to say Sunday Olise.
Really?
Yeah, I will have to say Sunday. I will have to say Sunday Olise. Sunday Olise was ridiculous. He played for Juventus. I mean, this guy was it was off. And don't get me wrong, I love JJ and all the other
bro.
I love JJ. I mean, Rashidi Yekini. That's a striker and a half. I mean, this guy is built like a tank. There were loads of that era there. That was like the England era that really never made it in the World Cup, but they still went on in African Cup of Nations and dominated. So you know, there's an achievement there for them, and they've done that thing there with the Olympics as well. So you know, they definitely did something on the world stage and the continental stage. So I think you know, a lot of kudos should go to that era there. But yeah, Sunday Olise, I think he was a cracking midfielder, unsung hero, but did his job. He's got a shot and a half on his left foot. The boy can go past players. Great player. Who's yours? What, JJ?
Skippy, ain't even close, bruv. JJ. Everyone knows. Kanu's my favorite ever Nigerian player.
JJ was ridiculous, man. I mean, the things that he does with football, you couldn't teach anyone how to do that. You know, some of the stuff.
The of Nigeria. I don't care what anyone says.
He really was. I mean, the stuff he did with football, man, you literally, and that's why, you know, I've said it on your show before. I'm not sure where it came from. Whether I think it was good. It still boggles my mind. Like, you know what I mean?
They are blood.
If you have 1/10 of the ability that your uncle has, everyone at Arsenal will love you, man. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
My man needs to watch some JJ tapes or something. I don't know what's going on. That guy he's fallen so far from the tree that it ain't even a tree anymore. It's just, I don't know what is wrong with Worthy. I'm so frustrated with him because I want him to do so well. I want him to knock off this stupid chick that he's dating. All right, she's fly, but she ain't so fly that she's distracting you from your football. Just focus on your finishing and your shooting because you have everything else. You
got everything else.
The man can run for days. I don't care what anyone says. He can run for days. He's a trier. When people say to me, "Oh, you always allow Iwobi," you know why I allow Iwobi? Because I've always said on this show, for me, all I want to see you do is try. That's it. Just try. Just try it. If you're not good enough to do something, all right, I can handle that. What I don't like is knowing that you're good enough and you're not trying at all. And that to me is worse than someone who's just not good enough.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier on with Victor Moses about him tailing off. And, you know, yeah, he did tail off towards the end of the season, but we know the ability is there. We know the hunger is there. He's another one that could have played for England. England was after this guy. I mean, when he was growing up, England was after him. He ended up, you know, opting to play for Nigeria. He's just won the FA Cup, so God knows what, you know, how much boost that's going to give him going into this tournament. You know, he's definitely a player that I'm looking, because he's one of the senior players now. If you look at it, you know what I mean, with his age and that, he's one of the senior players now that all the other lads are going to be looking up to. Kelechi Iheanacho, you mentioned earlier on as well. Started scoring towards the end of the season. Unfortunately, I had to witness one of his goals, the last game at Leicester, where I ended up missing the train and I get the taxi all the way back from Leicester to. I mean, whilst I was I wasn't even. I was pissed. I was pissed off with him scoring. But at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's good for you going into the World Cup. You've definitely caught the eye of your manager at Arsenal's expense, at my pocket expense. But you know, what, I'll give you that, especially when we brought it back to 1-1. I think, okay, you know what? No, I'm done here. No, I'm done. And yeah, so it's good that you know he's in goal scoring form going into the final. Even Ahmed Musa, he started scoring for CSK Moscow. We played them in the Europa League. Against him in the Europa League. You know, he didn't really turn it on there, but you know, as far as their league is concerned, I look at for him. He's always on the score sheet. He's scoring goals over there. I think he had a very, very horrible time at Leicester. For some reason, the tactics and how they won it, how this, I feel they didn't know how to use him.
Yeah, they never gave him a run, and every time I saw him make an appearance at Leicester, he did all right. To be honest, from what I saw, he was doing okay.
I just got a feeling they didn't understand how he played and how to use him or get the best out of him.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's back at CSK Moscow now, and he's thriving out there. He's doing his thing. So I'm definitely expecting.
He's used to playing in Russia.
Big things from him.
He's used to playing in Russia.
Yeah. So you know, that's his environment. He'll be in his element over there. You know. Exactly. So he's one player that I'm expecting a lot from. And when it comes to the England team, you know, I expect Kane to turn up. I expect, you know, because this is probably going to be one of the last. This is going to be the last set of friendlies that they play before the actual tournament. Tournament is in days, so this is good. This is almost like the warm up game going into the tournament, and I'm expecting their big players, the English big players, to show up and you know, be ready to give us a game. You know, people like Ali, people like Lallana, a lot of the Liverpool players that made the Champions League final will probably be there. Welbeck, I expect him to play in this game. So it's gonna be interesting seeing Iwobi and Welbeck going head to head. On this one, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And Welbeck, because of his Ghanaian roots, there'll be a tiny part of him that was. So there'll be a tiny part of him that wants to bury Nigeria. So
anyone who doesn't know, Ghana and Nigeria are neighbours. We don't hate each other, but when it comes to football, we're a little bit like Arsenal Spurs. So,
yes, it is. It really is. So it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what happens. Obviously, traditionally, like every other African that I know, whatever Africans is left in the tournament, we all support. Be Egypt, be Morocco, be Algeria, be Senegal, Sierra Leone, you name it. If you're left in the tournament, we're behind you all the way.
Agreed, completely. Because I always say the same thing. Like, listen, like people say to me, "Oh, how could you support Ghana when they went to the center?" I said, "I have no problem. Listen, when it comes to when we're still in the tournament, fuck Ghana. but when they were the last African team standing, you best believe I wanted them to win." And I was cursing Suarez's name the way every other African was cursing Suarez's name when he cheated that time. So yeah, I'm totally with you. For me, I actually think England's biggest worry tomorrow against us is we're full of pace and power. Those are our two attributes. We won't necessarily defend well. Positionally, sometimes we're all over the place. Like I say, our goalkeeper literally and historically tends to want to play up front, so he can go roaming. But the one thing that we're in danger of is on that counter-attack,
Yeah, frightening.
People like Gary Cahill, people that don't have pace. If any of them are in that England team tomorrow, it's going to get exposed. They are going to get exposed. Because the one thing we can do, like any other African team, we can run. We will outrun you every day of the week. The problem is at the back. We're more open than a porn star's vagina. I'll tell you. We are so open. We are so open.
I'll call him Angela.
So yeah, for me, I am worried. I mean, if we're gonna edge towards the predictions, oh man, I'm trying to be optimistic. I've had people tell me you're gonna lose, you're gonna lose, you're gonna lose. One thing I'll promise you, and I'll say this, and I'll say this with a concern that they might show me up tomorrow. But the one thing I promise you, we ain't getting smacked. That ain't happening. Now, Nigeria will refuse for that shit to happen. I don't think we'll lose. I can't confidently say we'll win, but I think Nigeria will be really motivated in this game to perform well. For whatever the reason, for whatever selfish reasons they are, they laid down this challenge. The reason they're playing tomorrow was because the Nigerian Federation laid down this challenge to England.
They wanted this game.
That's the thing. So from that perspective, I have to believe that mentally they're right. So physically, we're always good. So it's just a case of producing that shit tomorrow. So for that reason, I've got this feeling it'll be something stupid like 2-2. What do you think?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. I think it'll be a Desmond as well. It's gonna be one of those games where we, like you said, we're gonna play off the counter. We're gonna have to play off the counter because obviously, technically wise, I would say the English players they're definitely a bit more technically astute than our players are. But at the same time, you know, a lot of them play, you know, they play in this country, they have their livelihoods, you know, within the English Premier League and the Championship as well. So they know what to expect. They know the physicality. They know what England's going to bring. And you know, I think everybody will cancel each other out. One thing I hope it's not a boring game. I want to see an exciting game. You know what I mean? I want to see a bit of a ding dong. You know,
a lot of people said it's a dead rubber game. Nobody's going to risk any injuries ahead of the World Cup, which fair is a decent point. It is a decent point.
It's a decent point. But let's not forget the managers have got a 25-man squad or 23-man squad. So they've got, and on top of that, they also got people on standby that they've already noted down for this particular reason. So, but I think for pride alone, because a lot of these players know each other, like they know each other, like they're gonna see each other again. I mean, in my opinion, someone like Dele Alli should be playing for Nigeria, the dickhead. You know what I mean?
One more reason I hate that prick.
He really should be playing for Nigeria. So, but we can't get them all. If you don't want to, there's other countries to play for. But you know, I think it's gonna be an exciting game. I'm expecting a ding dong. I'm expecting goals. I think both teams have got goals in them. We definitely got players that can hurt England. Definitely England got players that can hurt us. So that's what makes it a bit exciting for me, because they both got defensive frailties. Yeah. You know what I mean? And while they both got defensive frailties and you got attacking potency, it makes for a very, very good game. And may the best team win, I'd say. But I'll stay with the Desmond as well. I'll say 2-2.
2-2. Okay. Well, boy, thank you everyone for joining us. I know it was a bit of an impromptu call out on a Friday night when most people have been paid. So thank you for the people that have joined us today. Let's see what happens, man. I am going to be nervous as fuck. I'm going to be watching the game. Tomorrow, what I'm actually going to do...
Don't forget the friendly, though. Do not...
No, bro, fuck that friendly shit. Fuck that friendly shit. I'm nervous as fuck. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do my very first live reaction video, which means I'm going to leave this camera on and you're going to see what it's like for Chig to watch a football game about a team he gives a shit about. So it'll be interesting. So you guys pay attention. Literally, as soon as the game's over, I will then transition into my review. Ola, as always, feel free to dive in and out if you feel like it.
No problem, man. I'm about for this anyways, man. You know what I mean? As long as I'm not working, I'll be available to jump in and out and that.
Cool, man.
And somebody just put in the chat, Mr. Arsenal89, he said, you watch it, Wobby. He's gonna come with one of the match performers tomorrow.
Come on, man. Come on.
Big up to that, Mr. Arsenal89. I respect that still.
I want him to channel just a little bit of JJ spirit. Just a little bit. You couldn't do it for Arsenal, but do it for your fucking country. Just a little bit. Fuck. But yeah, it should be interesting. It'll be stressful because I am not confident, I'll be honest. But I am confident we won't get smacked. Like, I've seen people in the chat room say, oh, England by 2. I don't even think so. I think if England win, it will be just. You watch, Nigeria are motivated. For certain games, for games like Iceland and Greece and shit like that, you won't necessarily see us turn up. Give us a Brazil or Argentina or an England. You watch what happens. And I think tomorrow will be one of them games. So let's see. I'm going to stop short saying we'll win, but I don't think we'll lose. So Desmond for me as well. So let's see. But thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely crush, destroy, DDT the shit out of that like button. I appreciate every time you guys do that. Ola, let the people know where they can find you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, free. It'll be in the description below. Also go on YouTube, Capitalscorpionz Tv. You'll find me on there as well. And thank you very much for having me. Thanks a lot.
Cool, man. No problem, man. Give me 2 minutes with that, and it will be in the description below. For anyone listening to this or watching this on the playback, just look below. It'll be in the description. We're out of here, people. So I'm going to leave you to your Friday nights. Peace, and take care.